Today we're going to be reviewing the Rain by Warhead Arrow Company. This is a local company based out of Ironton, Ohio. Warhead, so they've reached shops over in West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Michigan. So they're kind of getting their spread going. It's a really small company down here. So they also have online sales. You can just Google Warhead Arrow. But before I jump in, I want to go ahead and set out some ground rules. I'm not going to be talking a bunch of unnecessary crap or making this opinionated. These tests here today that I've seen online on other YouTube channels, I thought was really interesting and looked really good. I spent money for these, so I'm going to put these tests out there and use what other people already came up with to show you the results. So I don't think I'm any type of expert. I don't think I'm any competition style arrow shooter, nothing like that. I'm just an average guy who spent my money. So everything I mentioned today came off their site directly, customer service answering questions, or just my test and what we get today. All right, the Rain Arrow. This is a 204 diameter arrow, inside diameter arrow. They list the straightness tolerance of a 1 thou to 3 thou arrow straightness. I don't know why they don't just call that a 3 thou. I'm gonna assume and say that's a 3 thou arrow. It comes in 4 spine options. It's a 400, a 350, a 300, and a 250. And I'm gonna post all these stats and stuff in the description box below if you wanna see them, or you can go to their site at Warhead Arrows. So for the 400 spine, you're getting an 8.5 grain per inch. A 350, you're getting a 9.5 grain per inch. And 300 at 10.5, 250, 11.5 grain per inch. So that's a pretty standard weight for arrows across the board you'll see from other companies. They say it's made with 8 woven layers of carbon, making it stronger than most. So it's basically their 5mm arrow. Advantages of 5mm arrows: you get less wind drift, you get less friction because it's a smaller diameter outside, and so you're getting more penetration than a standard size, and that's again compared to a standard size arrow. So I put together a couple arrow builds for this arrow if I'd use the 300 versus a 350 spine. So the rules for this is I use this as a 28-inch cut arrow because that's average from all hunters across the board. If you took an average, it'd be 28 inches. The only thing that's going to change is the inserts. So basically I used a 100 grain point, a 3 fletch blazer, which is 6 grains per vein, a 3 grain knock collar, and a 9 grain knock. I don't know the grain of these knocks, I'm gonna assume 9 grains. No wrap. So with that 28-inch arrow on a 300 spine with a 100 grain insert and a 100 grain point, you're getting a 524 grain arrow with a 14.5% FOC. That's pretty good. Also, if you do a 350 with a 55 grain insert, you're getting a 451 grain arrow and a 12.4. Keep in mind online their spine chart, it says in there that when they're selecting their arrow spines off their chart that it's coming off a 100 grain insert, so basically the nuke. If you throw that in a 55 grain insert into the 350 spine and you're just running a no wrap off the back and just a standard knock in the knock collar, you could get away with running a 350 spine out of a 70-pound bow. The inserts have a plus or minus 1 grain tolerance. This is coming from customer service. This wasn't listed on their site. This is from customer service directly. Now, with that being said, we're going to get into 5 different tests. The first thing I'll be doing is weighing the components and shafts for consistency, and then I'm going to come over, run it through the spine checker and see the tolerance. I'm going to paper tune, and then I'm going to shoot a 20-yard and a 50-yard group. I don't really care for that test, but I know people's going to be asking about it. I'm going to be doing a durability test with 3 different stages: a light impact, being like a light wood, which is actually kind of a hard impact, and then we'll be stepping up to a middle impact with haven't picked out what gauge plate yet, but a steel plate. And if I can't find one, I'll make sure I find something consistent. And I'm gonna finish off with a center block for the durability test. And then I'm gonna come back for my final thoughts on this arrow. I'm also gonna be going side by side with this arrow as we go through the test, starting with the accuracy part. I'm gonna throw in an Easton 5mm axis. I'm not using the match grade, I'm using their standard 3 thou arrow. It is only 0.2 grains per inch off of what this arrow is. I'm actually gonna be using their inserts on that arrow as well. They'll be using the Easton knock, and I won't have a knock collar on the Easton, but other than that, that's about as close as I can get with another arrow. And we're gonna, because I don't know what these arrows are supposed to do. I don't know when I should expect an arrow to fail or not to fail when I'm throwing it through boards. So that'll give us a little bit of an idea comparison. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into test number 1 and just go from there. 6 nuke inserts. They should be 100 grains. 102, 102, 102, 102, 102, and 100. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to weighing the shafts. 328, 326, 328, 326, 328, and 328. 10 grains. 10 grains. 10 grains. 10 grains. Nothing. Nothing. All right, here's a straightness test on these. This is the first shaft here. So that one's about 2.5 thou. Error number 2 is not really even moving much. It's bouncing around about 1 thou. A little bit better in that second one even. So that's it, it's thou. Again, 1 thou. It's really good. So only tested 4 of the 6 shafts. Only reason that was is I did this test prior, lost the footage, so I'm back here refilming it. That's all happened. I took 2 of these actually to be built already for the test against the 2 Eastons and the durability test. So we're only testing 4 of them. Sorry about that. All right, so I took 2 shots. Took the first shot here with the rain, second shot with the rain, both tail right, and then I made an adjustment, moved the arrow rest to the left, and that fixed the tail right. This one right here, it's maybe a little slight tear. That's probably me. I'm not worried about that. All right, the 2 shots of the Easton. First Easton on the left, fired a slight tear right. Second Easton, about a 1/4 inch tear right. That's okay with me. These are coming off flat enough for my testing. I just want to make sure there wasn't like a crazy tear going on. All right, I'll be using my Bear Refined EKO 2022. It's sitting right at 70 pounds. 300 spine ring with a 100 grain nuke, a 125 grain fill tip, 3 blazers, the stock knock, and the stock insert, or sorry, knock collar. I'm gonna be shooting 2 rings, and then also I'm gonna be shooting 2 Easton axes in the same exact components. .263, 260, 259, 259. The reason I paper tuned. So the reason I paper tuned, I want to make sure these arrows are coming off the bow flat, making sure one or the other ain't getting an unfair advantage. Then when one fails, we know that these arrows are coming off very well similar. The reason for the speed, I just want you guys to know, if there's any questions, how fast these arrows are going and what weight they are. All 4 shafts after first shot, completely fine. first Warhead, it looks pretty good. No damage at all. The second Warhead, right in there, I mean, those are thumbnail size indentions right there on that arrow and on the back side. And then on the Easton, you can actually see it chewed up in a couple spots, both Eastons. You see that right there? I mean, these areas should not be shot, but we're going to. I mean, that's a tie. This one's broken half right here. This is the Easton axis. This Easton axis broke right here. This rein snapped right there. And the other one, well, here's the other one. And here's pieces of the arrow right here. So it blew up. It blew up right there. I'm going back in there to hunt, and I really got to get this freaking final thoughts on this arrow done, but I've just been hunting and working so much I haven't had time, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this real fast. Basically, in my eyes, the Easton axis is probably the #1 sold bow hunting like arrow in America. You can look online, look at some, just Google that. I guarantee the axis, the 5mm axis is in like the top 3 or top 5 of every freaking list out there of you know, hunting arrows in general. And this freaking Rain Warhead, it competed with it. It did exactly what it did. And then it's just, I don't know, as from my point of view, seeing it in person, the Eastons did get more chipped up. But I'm not gonna sit there and say the Easton's just not as good, because it's not true, because it could have just been the flexing of the arrow as it made contact going through that steel plate. I don't know. What I like about this arrow is I can buy the nukes with it, 100 grain. I can get the 55 grain inserts. I can do all that stuff. And the reason that's important to me is because for filming, I like to run these white freaking, just any white wrap, and I like to run a lighted knock so I get it picked up really well, that arrow flight and camera. And I'm not afraid of higher weight, because these are heavy arrows. That's why my bow was firing so slow. And that seems like it makes my arrow slower, and it gets better in the frames as well as I'm shooting. That's just opinion. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's how I like to run it. And if I put that light and knock on the back and that freaking wrap, I'm losing FOC. I'm not a big FOC guy. I just want my arrow to be coming off straight, but I do like my FOC to be around 12, if not a little bit better. And usually right at 12 is a perfect number for me. So with this exact setup with the nuke, I'm getting right what I want. So I'm not really, it's just what I want, man. And if I didn't shoot film hunts and stuff, it wasn't my hobby that I like to do, I wouldn't even shoot a 300. I wouldn't even shoot a wrap or a lighted knock. I would shoot their freaking stock 350 with a 55 grain insert and a 100 grain head. You're getting a 450 grain arrow. If you're firing a 70-pound bow, that's really not a heavy arrow at all. I'd like to be anywhere from like 440 to like 480s, like the idea number to me, and that's opinion. You can shoot a freaking 380 or you can shoot a freaking 600. I don't give a crap. That's just my opinions. Just, you saw the test, so it's for whatever you want to do with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this video up and be done with it. All right, I forgot one thing. I want to send a huge thank you out there to Todd Sporting Goods. They let me do that entire video and use their gear. I'm beyond ecstatic to actually be able to use a spine checker in my my video. That's pretty cool. Use his freaking scale. Could have got one, but I mean, just the convenience of them letting me do it, that's awesome. DJ Bowtech down there, you go down there, he's gonna get you hooked up. He's not gonna snarl his nose at you if you're not shooting a certain weighted arrow or a certain broadhead or not having a right helical. I mean, we're losing so much touch of what hunting is for these new freaking guys that probably wear skinny jeans coming in our sport and just talking all this crap about arrow weight and all this stuff and their own personal beliefs and opinions. So it makes me feel like I'm a hunter when I go to his shop more than some guy trying to run around in shirts that's too tight shooting competition arrows at 3D targets. So go down to Todd's. There's a lot of bow techs and stuff in this area, and I go to their shops occasionally, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I like Todd, so do what the hell you want.